Hi, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to do a quick review on the CZ Shadow 2 chambered in 9mm. The Shadow 2 is an all-metal gun. This one's all black with the light blue CZ Shadow 2 aluminum grips. So let's go ahead and take a closer look. Alright, with the muzzle pointed to the left, we'll go ahead and start at the top of the slide. At the top of the slide you'll find the front sight. This is a red tritium fiber optic sight, and these sights are replaceable. As you come down the top of the slide, you'll notice there's some grooves cut in the top of the slide. And I'm guessing that's just to cut down on glare as you look down your sight picture. When you get to the rear sight, this is an adjustable rear sight and a replaceable rear sight. It's also an all blacked out rear sight as I give you a sight picture. And you can notice that there's some grooves cut in the rear sight, which once again, I'm assuming will help cut down on glare. I was a little concerned about the all blacked out rear sight. I'm used to the U-cuts with the white trim around there and then the white front dot sight. But this gun actually shoots really well. If you focus on the red dot at the front, the rear sight kind of disappears in the field of vision, so I actually like that quite a bit. This gun's pretty heavy. It weighs probably what a 1911 weighs, which helps cut down on the recoil, and really easy to stay on target. The trigger's nice and smooth, so the recoil, the handling of the gun is just really nice. And as we come back to the front of the gun, we'll go along the side of the slide, and you have some front serrations there. And of course you have the CZ Shadow 2 9x19 CZ logo milled into the slide. Then you come to the rear serrations. These serrations are cut pretty deep, but they're not aggressive to where they're going to hurt your hand. But if you slide your finger across, you're going to catch on them. The slide moves really smooth, any pressure whatsoever, and your fingers catch right on those grooves and the slide actions back, so it's very nice. Then right below the rear serrations on the frame of the gun is going to be your manual safety, or you can put the decocker on if you like. You can hear it click on and off. It moves smooth and nice and easy. Right in front of that's going to be your takedown lever or your slide stop, slide release. You can notice that there's some steps cut into it, so there's plenty of surface area for the pad of your thumb to hit. The slide moves really smooth, so it doesn't take a whole lot of effort to drop the slide when you hit the slide release. If you go to the front of the gun, at the bottom of the grip frame, there's your access rail. It has a single Picatinny cut in it, so you can put your light, your laser, your chainsaw attachment, whatever it is you like to run on your gun. Then behind that is going to be your trigger well. In the front of the trigger well, you'll notice some grooves cut for the people who like to rest their finger on the front of the trigger well. I'd call this like a medium-sized trigger well. The trigger sits right in the center, and it seems slightly angled forward, and it has a little curve in it. There's plenty of room to get your finger in, even if you had a glove on. You may have a little bit of an issue if you have like a big winter glove fitting in there. Just something to keep in mind. I haven't tried that yet. Behind the trigger well is what I call a paddle mag release. The reason I call it a paddle mag release is it's just larger than most mag releases on the guns that I'm used to. And there's some stippling on there, so there's plenty of surface area and grip for your thumb to pad on. It's a little bit stiff when there's no magazine in there, but when there's a magazine in, the stiffness just disappears and it reacts really smooth. So it's actually pretty nice, and like I said, there's a lot of surface area there for you. The rear of the grip has the aluminum light blue Shadow 2 grips. It's got CZ Shadow engraved in it behind the mag release, and then down at the mag well, a big number 2, which is on both sides of the gun. I like them a lot. This is a really pretty gun, if you ask me. That's one of the reasons I bought it, is for the aesthetics. On the front of the grip, there's some stippling for the pad of your fingers, same as the back. There's some stippling for the pad of your hand. I've got pretty much an average size hand, and you can see there's still plenty of real estate down there if you've got a bigger hand. For me, my pinky lands right at the end of that stippling on there, so it's almost like the gun was made for me. Now if you have your nice high grip on it, the beaver tail or dovetail, whichever you like to call it, should definitely protect you from any hammer bite unless you've got a considerably bigger hand than I do, and I really don't think you should get slid bit whatsoever. So now we'll go ahead and check out the trigger. Real quick before we do that, we'll go to the hammer. The hammer does a half cock and a full cock. And if you'll notice, there's some grooves cut in the top, so another good landing spot for the pad of your thumb. The trigger is stainless steel. It's got just a little bit of play right there, but it's not sloppy whatsoever. Then a nice clean pull all the way through the trigger. No choppiness, no wall to hit or anything, just real smooth and easy. I don't know what the weight is, but it feels to me like it's pretty light. I've got a PO1 Omega, which obviously has the Omega trigger in there, and I would place this higher than that. The Omega trigger is really nice. I do like it a lot. I'm not a trigger expert by any means, but this one is just so much smoother and so much lighter. I put 210 rounds through it with no flaws, 115 grain and 147 grain. Like I said, no mistakes, no failures to eject or anything like that. I think you should be able to take your gun straight from the gun store, especially when it's a mass production gun like this and not a milsurp or something. You shouldn't have to clean it, you shouldn't have to wipe it down or anything like that, and that's what I do. And like I said, I put 210 rounds through it. 10 rounds was just a quick mag dump, and then everything else was just trying to get used to the sights and the trigger and everything. Really accurate, really smooth, no malfunctions whatsoever. I haven't cleaned it yet right out of the box. Now we'll go into the takedown. Right above the dovetail or beaver tail on the grip frame, you'll notice a notch at the back of the gun, and then right below the last serration on the rear of the slide, there's another notch. If you cock the hammer, it helps the slide move easier. If you just line those two up, then you could go to the right hand side of the gun, and right above the trigger there's a button that you could push all the way through, and then go back to the left hand side of the gun and pull this out. I'm not going to take it apart. There are some pretty cool features I would like to talk about. The barrel has some grooves cut in it, kind of like these serrations, and inside the top of the slide there's the same serrations cut, so when the barrel sits down in there it doesn't rock back and forth, it's in place. And then one of the things I like about the Shadow, as well as all your CZs, if you can notice right here at the front, the slide rides on the inside of the grip frame as opposed to the outside like other guns do, and I think that that's fantastic. I really enjoy that. To me, it makes the slide move a lot easier and helps for stability. I could be completely wrong about that, but just in my opinion, that's what I like about it. And there's your CZ Shadow 2. So thank you very much for watching. Hope you liked it. Feel free to leave some comments.